Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you all into a year long journey of discovering the treasures of a beautiful book by Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, Women Who Run with the Wolves. This is a 10-month long program where we will meet twice a month on Zoom video calls for women and men who are from the South Asian subcontinent and can be attended from any part of the world. I would like to begin by sharing more about me and my growing up years. I grew up in a fairly conservative part of northern India, a small town Ambala in Haryana. Growing up, it was difficult to find women role models whom I could easily identify with. The main archetypes I saw were women who were highly domesticated, who had little power in their relationships and life. Their main assets were their physical beauty and their agreeability. I also saw another archetype of intellectual women who did excellent academically and had more power over their lives. I rarely saw women who loved what they did, were expressing their creative self, were living powerfully in their relationships, and had their values aligned with their truest being. I also saw the identity of women deeply dependent on the men in their lives. As a thin, shy, brown girl growing up in a society which attributed fairness to beauty, I grew up with a strong feeling of not fitting in. I had a mind of my own and yearning for independence. I did not do well in my early years of schooling since learning by rote was simply not inspiring. My love for art, reading, and expression helped me survive school. However, my thirst for living a life I could call my own made me study hard in high school. Amidst trying to beat the oppressive Indian education system, where one is not encouraged to deeply question and be creative, eventually took a huge toll and I became highly underconfident of my abilities. My mother grew up in even more difficult times where dancing and singing was not permitted in her family and she was not even allowed to wear what she liked. To continue on my life journey, I went on to pursue engineering from one of the top schools of India and later came to USA to pursue masters at Stanford, which I took up a job as a software engineer at Google and now at Apple. All these academic accolades did not give me true self-confidence and I found myself struggling in the rigors of a 9 to 5 job. I was also struggling in relationships and feeling the lack of power in them. Fortunately, amidst all this chaos, I discovered my love for the outdoors, which made me truly feel alive. I was exploring different spiritual practices and found the tradition of the Buddhist meditation, Vipassana, helping me with my inner life. Amidst a particularly stormy relationship, I found a wise woman who was not living the typical Silicon Valley life. She was warm, grounded, affectionate yet fierce, and I felt instant kinship with her, someone I now look up as a wild woman. Surrounding myself with friends who had led full lives inspired me to take a 3 month sabbatical from work, where I wanted to spend a major chunk of my time walking the Camino de Santiago in Spain as a form of pilgrimage. My family and friends discouraged me from going alone, but I was sure that I wanted to do it as a meditative journey alone. In 35 days, I walked almost 20 to 25 kilometers every day, and I experienced profound joy and contentment in my being. I was drinking in the beauty of Mother Earth and surrendering each day in its lap, practicing generosity in small ways I could, connecting to people and listening to their stories. After finishing the walk, I spent time with my family in India, then on a short but powerful meditation retreat, and traveled to the highest part of Himalayas, a part which felt untouched and pristine. And after coming back from there, I felt I had touched aliveness and groundedness in me which I had never experienced before. I ended the sabbatical with the feeling of being so strongly in my body and glowing with confidence as I had never experienced before. Coming back to the Silicon Valley and amidst people living corporate lives, where being busy is a state of being, I could strongly sense a lack of luster in people. I also started slowly losing the wild woman in me as I got busy in the normal humdrum of life. The experience created a yearning to experience the wildness in my being again and to live life in my power. I have learned that to be in your power is not to be forceful, manipulative, or aggressive. To be in your power is to be in alignment with your truth and values and to have strength in your being while being deeply grounded. It is after the sabbatical that one of my friends told me of Dr. Clarissa Estes' book, and I felt a deep resonance with the teachings in the book. I have come so far in this journey of exploring the wild woman in me, and I want to travel more distance together in the company of the collective wisdom, touching into our authenticity, humility, and groundedness. Reading this book is like being with a wise grandmother who knows the struggle of coming into womanhood and is teaching how to thrive in the world. This is a deeply spiritual book which requires undivided attention, a lot of reading and rereading, and a deep commitment to explore its truth. Dr. Clarissa starts the book with saying how wild women and wildlife are endangered species and how they're causal. She talks of wild not meaning out of control, but it means to live a natural life with deep integrity and healthy boundaries. She describes the qualities of wild as being loyal, strong life force, life giving, intuitive, and alert. The wild woman is highly instinctive in nature. She resides in the gut and not in the head. In the book, Dr. Clarissa describes intuition as the voice of the soul, which is the inner compass as we go through life, which makes life decisions which will cause the least amount of fragmentation in the psyche. The wild woman knows right from wrong and knows how to be in the world. Each chapter of the book starts with a story and then draws out the meaning of each character as forces, both positive and negative, and then draws out the meaning of each character forces, both negative and positive, which exist in the psyche along with forces in the external world. Dr. Estes teaches that stories instantaneously bypass the ego. While the ego is kept happy, thinking it's being entertained through the story, the soul and the spirit are deeply listening. The flow of images and stories is medicine, similar medicine as listening to the ocean or gazing at sunrises. Story flows where it is needed and applies itself there, like an antibiotic that finds the source of the infection and concentrates there. Dr. Estes also talks of how we must strive to allow our souls to grow in their natural way. It also asks for healthy self confidence and standing one's ground, since the soul's voice often goes against the beliefs of the ego driven society. This book is not only for women, but also for men who have lost their instinctual self. For those souls who overstay in bad relationships or unsatisfying careers because either they have lost consciousness that something is wrong or lost the power to make a change. Another intention I have for our group is that we can explore and learn from our own Indian myths, from the lives of Indian goddesses, and from the myths of Ramayana and Mahabharata. This book is not just for elite educated men and women, but for men and women everywhere. Since this is an online program, I deeply regret that those with no access to internet or understanding of English language will not be able to join us. I wish that the translation of this book existed in Indian languages. The closest word I could find to wild women in Indian language is Jugni, which means female firefly. In spiritual poetry, Jugni means the spirit of life or the essence of life. Another word which reminds me of the wild women's essence is Pataka Gudi, made famous by the song of the same name. May the collective wisdom of this group help in liberation of all beings everywhere. I would like to close with words from the book. The doors to the world of the wild self are few but precious. If you yearn for a deeper life, a full life, a sane life, that is a door. If you love the sky and the water so much that you almost cannot bear it, that is a door. If you have a deep scar, that is a door. If you have an old, old story, that is a door. Thank you for listening.